What is up, guys? It's your girl, Nicole Young, and I am back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how you can find the perfect language for you when you're just getting started learning how to code. There's a lot to go through, so let's get started. So the first thing that you should do if you are trying to find the right language for you to learn how to code is to figure out your why and your direction. If you have been watching my other videos, I mention this in a lot of them, but it is so important, and that's why I keep reiterating on it. When you figure out your direction and you figure out your why, you'll start to understand what it is that you want to do and what it is that you want to build, and having that little bit of information in the back of your head will help to guide you in the right general direction. It might not be the exact straightforward path that you need to get to where you're ultimately going, but just being steered in the right direction is always a great thing. So definitely figure that out first. You can check out my All You Need to Code video, which I'll link above, so that you can get a little bit more detail on why it's so important for you to find a direction and find a why when you're first getting started. So if you haven't already, go check that one out. And the next thing that you should do is do some research. Once you figure out your general direction, the general area that you want to go and you want to take things, do some research and just Google what is the most common coding language used in mobile development or in gaming development, whatever, and just do some research on what the most common language is in the general area that you would desire to work in. Now, I'm going to break these languages up. There are a lot of languages out there, but I've picked the top 10 that I think are the most common beginner languages, and I've sectioned them up based on a general direction. So I will be going through the languages that are most common for web development, mobile development, gaming, data analysis, and general purpose logic backend type apps. Okay, so let's start with web development. I would say that the very first and most common language that most people learn if they are looking to get into web development is HTML5. HTML5 is the original, it's the OG coding language, and it is how all web pages are built. If you want to get into front end or web development at all, you're going to need to know HTML5. There are a ton of free resources that you can learn for HTML. There are tons of free resources out there that you can learn HTML5, so check those out. Another really good language to learn if you are interested in web development is JavaScript. JavaScript works with HTML and allows you to create interactive designs in your web applications, and it's very commonly used throughout web development. And another really widely used language right now is PHP. PHP is very popular and very widely used because it is the language used for WordPress, which is probably the most common and popular thing used right now to build websites. So if you're interested in working at a newer company or a larger company on the website, I mean, PHP is something that you should probably look into. Next is mobile development. So if you're looking for something that would allow you to create applications across platforms, JavaScript is a great one. JavaScript has React, which is one of its libraries that allows you to create mobile apps, and those mobile apps can be used on iOS devices and also Android devices. If you are more interested in Android applications, Java is also something that's used across platforms, but is really optimal for mobile applications. And then there's iOS development, because Apple is just so special. It has its own language that it uses for all of its devices, and that is Swift. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I'm learning Swift currently because I love Apple products and that's all I use, and I thought it would be cool to start learning the language of all of the operating systems that I use. And the reason why you would want to use Swift instead of React, which is something that works across platforms, is that a native language, which Swift is a native language for iOS devices, a native language tends to perform a lot better and a lot smoother and more optimal than a language that is meant for all platforms. Next is gaming. Now, I don't know a ton about gaming, but I do know that there are two languages that are most used when creating different types of games. So the first is C++, and the second is C#. I believe that when I was doing research on this, that C# is the most commonly used for gaming, but I've seen them both being used in different aspects. So definitely do some research on that if you are someone that is interested in getting into development for gaming. Next, if you are interested in data science or data analysis, there are two languages that I would suggest for that one. The first is R. R is a language that was actually specifically made by statisticians for statisticians, and it is for that hardcore like number crunching type stuff. I've never used it, so I'm not entirely sure how it works, but if you are someone that's really interested in doing the hardcore data analysis, then R is the language for you. Next is Python. Now, Python is a really popular language because not only is it pretty simple and easy to understand and easy to learn, but it can be used for so many different things. Data analysis and working with large databases and things like that is just one of the many things that you can do with Python, but it is a really huge asset of that language. That brings me into the general logic or back-end type languages. Python is definitely at the top of the ranks of those ones. I am probably pretty biased because Python was actually the language I was introduced to coding through, so it has a special place in my heart. However, if you want to work with data, if you want to build like simple AI, Python is definitely the language that you should start with because you're going to be able to do all of that. Not to mention, if you are someone that wants to prototype a particular new application or logic-based software or app, Python is also a great one to get started with because it allows you to do that, and it's not a super complicated language to learn. Ruby is also similar to Python in that it's pretty simple and easy to learn. It allows you to prototype quickly and easily. If you are someone that has a concept already and you want to be able to build it and kind of create your MVP and start to try things out, Ruby is a great language to start learning for that. If you are someone that is, interested in full stack development, Ruby I know is a language that is taught at a lot of coding boot camps for full stack development. And then also, I've mentioned this one prior, but Java makes for a great multi-purpose language because it can be used across platforms like I mentioned before. So those are all of the languages that I had for you, and just generally giving you an idea of what languages are most popular when you're getting started and what general languages you should be looking into if you understand what direction you want to take your learning. But overall, something that I want to mention that I have mentioned in other videos, understand that no matter what language it is that you learn, you can always change your mind. You can always start learning something else. Getting a foundation in one language doesn't mean it's a waste if you decide to change and go on to something else. So whichever one you pick, you'll be able to transfer those skills to other languages as you learn them. So if you have learned any of these languages that I have listed, please leave a comment below letting me know how it was as a beginner learning this language. And if there were any other languages out there that you learned in the beginning that you thought were a great introduction to coding, also drop those down below. And of course, please like this video and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell because I know you don't want to miss another video. All right, I love you guys. Peace.